It's weird to hear your voice in this headset.
Welcome to the podcast. What do you think of doing this?
It's weird.
Is it weird?
Yeah.
Let me interview you. What have you been doing today?
Well, not a whole lot yet. It's only 10:30.
What do you mean? That's like 4 hours into your day. You should have lots of shit done by now.
It's kind of quiet today.
It is?
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to have you on here because I think you have a unique and interesting perspective on the whole Montana Knife Company story, obviously. As I've said before, you're probably the reason for it actually happening. But first of all, I want to jump back and I want people to understand a little bit more who Jess Smith, the knife wife, is, as your Instagram handle says. I think it'd be good for people to kind of understand a little bit about like how we got here. Where'd you grow up? Why don't you tell people where you grew up and kind of what your parents did, what life was like growing up?
I was born in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, but I was raised in Kalispell, Montana, so just north of here, a couple of hours. And I was raised an only child. I have a couple half siblings, but they're a lot older than me, so pretty much grew up an only child. And my parents owned restaurants, so they didn't. I can remember. I was old enough to remember when they like purchased the first one and started it, and I remember hanging out there and helping in the kitchen and
up in Kalispell.
Yeah, in Kalispell. The first one that they had was in town. Mm-hmm. It's called the Sportsman, and it was a restaurant in front and then a bar / casino in the back. Mm-hmm. And then after a couple of years, they purchased a building and moved it to the property where they then had Julie's, which was outside of Kalispell, west of Kalispell on Highway 2, like 10 miles.
And Julie is your mom's name?
Julie is my mom's name. So they opened Julie's.
Was it Julie's Cafe, Julie's Restaurant?
It was Julie's Restaurant and Saloon.
Okay.
So it was also a restaurant on the side, and then a bigger bar casino than the Sportsman. And then eventually my dad added on a banquet room. And then we had like a giant patio out back, and then an arena in the back where we did a Moxie's first, mm-hmm. and then eventually turned into Team Pennings when that started to be popular. Moxie's are horse games like barrel racing, pole bending, keyhole. Gosh, they used to do one where you would drag a rawhide with somebody on it.
Oh, really? Like,
yeah.
Like a sled?
Basically, yeah. And they'd wear a helmet down around like a barrel at the end of the arena and then come back.
Really?
Yeah. Lots of crazy things.
So they would camp on site and like spend a whole weekend or what?
Yeah, I mean, usually it'd be Saturday and Sunday. I don't remember people camping, but they had to have stayed somewhere. But eventually my dad added, there was like 5 or 6 RV spots, hookups in the back. And then my dad was always wanting to do more. Mm-hmm. Very like, I guess, entrepreneurial, I guess. I didn't think of it that way at the time, but, always wanting to do this and then add this and then add that. And so, we even had a stretch of apartments in the back mm-hmm. where people rented apartments from us. Mm. So
what was your job in the restaurant growing up?
Well, the first job I can remember having was peeling potatoes in the kitchen.
Yeah.
In the Sportsman, with one of our cooks named Francis. I really enjoyed that. But mainly I was a waitress.
Really?
Waiting tables and yeah.
That's cool. So
cool.
Customer service type stuff
mm-hmm.
even back then. And your dad, was he like bartender? Did he cook steaks and bartend, or what did he do?
So when we had the Sportsman, when we first had the Sportsman, my dad was a cook. My dad's a very good cook. Mm-hmm. And so he cooked. He would bartend if they needed help. But that was more of what my mom did, bartended and waitressed. My mom also did all of the books. Mm-hmm. All the bookkeeping and whatnot. But once we had Julie's, my dad really only cooked if he had to. He didn't want to. Mm-hmm. I think he liked being available to talk to people and do other things.
Yeah. What kind of things were you into in high school besides boys?
I played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball was kind of my favorite. I also did track, but I wasn't great at track. I mostly just did it to hang out with my friends and have something else to do. I really loved school. So like I love studying and going to school and doing school things, I guess. Yeah.
So then when you left home, you went to college, U of M?
I graduated, went to University of Montana because I wanted to be close to home.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
What did you want to be someday when you grew up?
When I started going to the university, I was not sure. There was two things I wanted to do, very, very different things. I wasn't sure which one. I either wanted to be a teacher or I wanted to be a sports broadcaster.
Like on SportsCenter?
Yes. And so I chose...
Like Hannah Storm?
Yes. I totally grew up watching Hannah Storm and Ahmad Rashad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I chose sports broadcasting because it seemed the more fun option, I guess. Probably also the option where I'd make a little more money, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of declared my degree as broadcast journalism, and I did 2 years of journalism classes and broadcasting classes. And somewhere along the line, I think I had this like realization that I was probably going to be on the local news for a really long time. And that sounded terrible.
Yeah.
So I switched.
You didn't want to be the local weather girl or sports girl?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact moment, but I do remember thinking like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Yeah. So you went into teaching.
So I switched to education and ended up having to do a 5th year just because I was already like so far into journalism and they're not at all similar degrees. Yeah. So
did you want to teach young or older kids?
Younger. Yeah. I mean, not high school. My degree's in K-8. My certification's K-8. So yeah, not high school. But what's funny is people don't realize high school is kind of like the hidden gem because the job's like the schedule and the job is like the easiest job there is.
Yeah.
Because you teach the same subject like 2 or 3 times a day and that's it.
Yeah.
But the kids can be harder.
Right.
So it just depends on.
So at what point in your life did like the whole fitness thing become a big deal to you?
When I was a senior in high school, I started taking fitness classes at the local gym in Kalispell at the Summit. And back then, gosh, it feels old when we talk about this. Back then, it was aerobics classes, like step aerobics.
Yeah.
And so...
Jane Fonda shit.
Yes. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would take a step aerobics class at 6 a.m. at the Summit with Monique. I think her name's Monique. And I just loved it. It was super fun. And I did that my whole senior year. And towards the end of the year, I was getting ready to go to school down here in Missoula and started kind of thinking like, man, I'm pretty good at this. Like, I wonder if I could teach it. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, the head instructor at the Summit approached me and was like, you should think about being an instructor. And I was like, I'm actually like kind of thinking about that. And so she got me pointed in the right direction. And there's a couple different organizations that you can get certified through. And so I just did some research and you study to take the test and yeah.
So then when you came down to college, did you start teaching at gyms down here right away or?
No, not right away. So I started going to a gym that actually no longer exists. It basically burned down in a fire. It used to be called the Courthouse. Mm-hmm. And I started going there and I was still studying to get my certification and was just taking classes, still taking step classes. And the head instructor there, again, approached me and was like, hey, you'd be a really good instructor. You should think about teaching. And I was like, I am actually working on that right now. And so she kind of took me under her wing a little bit and because it's one thing to study the written part, but then you have to be able to like do the practical side, right? Where like you actually like teach the movements and all of that. So it's two very different parts that you have to put together.
Yeah.
So yeah, she took me under her wing a little bit, and then I passed the test, and then I started teaching. But I mean, it all happened relatively fast. I feel like I started teaching classes about 6 months into my freshman year.
Really? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
Spinning forward a little ways, you got into teaching, you got through school. You and I had each been married and divorced when we met at this point. And this was in 2016 when we met. What was like going on in your life, and what were you like set the scene of like when we met, like what was going through your mind? Where were you at?
Oh gosh. I was a 5th grade teacher at Cold Springs Elementary, and I'd been teaching 5th grade for about 10 years, and I absolutely loved it. 5th grade is the best. Cold Springs was a great school. I was really living my best professional life, I think. And I was teaching fitness classes like 5 days a week at the peak. I was living 5 minutes from the gym, which was awesome. So I'd get up, teach my class at the gym, go to work.
Life was real simple.
It was very simple.
And then I came along and ruined it.
You didn't ruin it. Yeah, I mean, I had no real responsibility. I'd just gotten out of a long-term relationship. So I was doing some like dating here and there, but it was all super dumb. Yeah, I mean, I was just working.
Yeah. So I met you at a bar, because clearly you were a drunk at the bar all the time. And it's kind of funny because neither one of us really were like bar people, go to bars very often. I was invited there by some friends who ended up, a married couple who ended up ditching me like as I got there, 30 minutes from our house. So I decided to like listen to the band and have a beer and then go home. And then you were there. You guys had gone to a Grizz game, football game, right?
I had gone to a Grizz game with a couple coworkers, my very best friend Karen Bartles, and her husband Adam, who had been hanging out with a bunch, and then my other coworker Kayla Matich.
What kind of dating advice were they giving you?
So I actually lived with Karen and Adam for like a short little spell. I can't remember the exact circumstances as to why, but I was living with them for just a little bit, and they were telling me that I needed to find a man that showered at night.
And so what did that mean?
Well, apparently I'd been dating all these like pretty boy types that shower in the morning, and I needed to find myself a man that showered at night. A man that showers at night is somebody who works hard and sweats and gets dirty during the day.
Okay.
And has to shower before they go to bed.
Yeah. Because I don't know if it was, I think it was the second night after I'd met you, we had we're texting a little bit, and you asked me, hey, I have kind of a weird question. Do you shower in the morning or at night? And when I got that text, I was like, how the hell am I supposed to answer this? But like, I don't understand. Why? What's the point of the question, right? So I said,
Yep.
Oh, I shower at night. And then you were just like, okay. And I was like, well, that was super random and weird. And then you texted back and said, by the way, that was the right answer. So you were being very cryptic with that one. What do you remember about?
Although you do shower a little more in the morning these days.
It's true.
But it's okay.
Well, after we work out, it's that would mean I'd have to shower morning and night.
I know.
But yeah, I'm definitely softer now as a knife company executive.
It's all right.
Actually, my favorite days are when I do have to shower at night. That means I got to do something outside.
I know.
So what do you remember about meeting at the bar?
So my buddy Kayla, we went to the football game that day. And after the game, my buddy Kayla was like, let's go to the Sunrise Saloon. And I was like, I don't want to. I hate going out. Like, I am not a go out person. I get tired. I like to be in bed by like 8:30 or 9. And I was wearing Ugg boots and fleece leggings and a flannel, and she wanted to go to the cowboy bar, and I agreed after she bugged me repeatedly. And so we went, and I remember sitting at, they have a dance floor, and the dance floor has, on one side of the dance floor, there's like a countertop bar, I guess, if you will. So you can look out on the dance floor. And we were sitting there. And I remember looking over my shoulder a couple of times and seeing you by yourself. And I remember thinking, that guy's over there by himself. That's weird.
What a creep. It's true.
And then you asked my friend to dance.
Yeah, so I saw you and your friend, both of you were cute blondes. And I really couldn't see you well.
No, you were behind us and it was dark.
Yeah, I was behind you. She was more facing me. Mm-hmm. You're both looking over my way a bit, so I'm like, screw it, I'll ask. So I asked your friend to dance first. Mm-hmm. And that's the move, guys. When you're a real player like me, you got to make one jealous. That was my whole plan.
Yep, it worked.
So anyway, I asked Kayla to dance. She was nice. Danced with her, come back to the table. And I was like, damn, her friend's cute, which was you. And so, yeah, we ended up talking. But I also had this mentality of like, I have 4 kids. This super cute girl is not going to want to be with somebody with 4 kids. And I was also going to be very selective with who I was around. I also didn't have time for BS. So I was just like, I immediately was like, yeah, I got 4 kids and this and that. Cause I figured if that was going to scare you away, good. I didn't want to deal with it all, you know? So I think I was pretty open and upfront just about like, I wasn't like trying to catfish you and just be like, oh, I'm single and rich.
No, you immediately
I was like, I have 4 kids and I'm broke as shit.
You immediately were showing me pictures of kids and talking about your kids and
yeah,
all that stuff.
Also, I told Jess I was a lineman when she asked me what I did. And later did I find out that you had do you think I was a football player?
I don't know. I mean, clearly you didn't look like a football player, so that doesn't make any sense. But I did not know what a lineman was until, I don't know if we were still at the bar and like you walked away or something, but I said something to Kayla and she was like, you don't know what a lineman is? And I was like, no. Like, why would I know? I had no idea.
Yeah, that I worked on power lines. I wasn't like a lineman for the Dallas Cowboys.
I thought it was pretty cool though once I realized what it was.
Really?
Yeah.
And then tell him the Forged and Fire story.
Oh, so I had been staying with Karen and Adam, and they loved the show Forged in Fire. Loved it. And their 2 boys, Luke and Henry. And so they would watch it whatever night it would come on. And so when I was staying with them, I had become familiar with this show. And so when you were going through your phone showing me stuff, you showed me this picture of the axe that Demi made. And it was all Damascus and cool looking. And in my attempt to sound cool, I said, oh, that looks like something they make on Forged in Fire. And then you said, oh, I was on that show. Which is so funny to me now because you're not like that at all.
Yeah, especially with that show.
Especially with that show. But in that moment, you were like, oh, I've been on that show. And I was like, what?
I'm a celebrity.
I remember, too, on the way home, Googling you and looking at your website and just like who is this guy? What the heck?
Yeah.
Because I had never heard of like custom knife making or Damascus or any of that stuff. So that whole world was like...
Or lineman.
I learned so many things the night I met you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got your number that night, which I figured you probably gave me a fake one. And then the next day I called you.
Yep.
Of course, you didn't answer.
Well, I was still in bed and I didn't want to answer the phone with morning voice. That's valid.
It's true. And then you called me back, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, this whole dating thing is not going to work.
I still have the voicemail, everyone, if you'd like to hear it someday.
Oh, my God. No.
It's the best.
So anyway, I basically was like, I don't know that this is going to work out or whatever. Probably not. So
you just like sabotaged it from the beginning.
100%. Yeah. Girls like you don't generally date guys like me. So I was like, I'm building a barn. I'm recovering from back surgery, so I'm home for a little while. I've been trying to build this barn. Winter is coming. Because what month was that?
November.
Yeah, November.
November 6th.
Yeah, that's right. Winter's right around the corner. I'm building this barn. I got to get it done. If you want to come out and help me build horse feeders in my barn, you could do that. And you were like, wow, that sounds great. And I was like, what? Like, I was really surprised. And you were like, going to go for a run first and then come out after you went for a run. So you did that. And then I was like, almost like, you really shouldn't do this. Like, this is like 30 miles from town on a dead end road with a guy that you met at the bar the night before. It seemed very unsafe that you should be doing that. I almost scolded you and be like, you shouldn't do that. So anyway, you came out.
Didn't seem any more dangerous than the online dating I'd been doing.
Okay. That's probably true. But yeah, you helped me lug 2x10s around all day. Mm-hmm. And we built all the horse feeders that are still in our barn today.
Yep.
And it was a blast. It was fun.
It was great.
You worked hard. It was good. I don't need a lazy bitch.
You kept asking me, what do you think? How do they look? They look okay? And I kept thinking to myself, why the hell are you asking me what I think? They're not my feeders. Like, this isn't my barn. Like, why do you care what I think? But you kept asking me. It was really sweet. And I'd never really been asked that before. Like, my opinion on how my work looks. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we did that. And then we went to dinner that night and Stone of Accord. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so that was the Trump election was like 2 days later.
Yeah.
Because was this a Sunday? We did horse feeders? Probably.
I think so, yeah. Because Saturday was the football game. Yeah.
Yeah. So feeders on Sunday. First Trump election was Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I know how I'll ruin this. She's like this cute school teacher from Missoula. She's probably like a flaming liberal. So I asked you what you thought was going to happen in the election. I was like, well, what do you think of what's going to happen in the election on Tuesday? And you were like, I don't know, but I hope that bitch Hillary doesn't win. And I was like, all right, let's get married. Yeah. And it was funny. We had dinner, and then a couple nights later, I think we went to dinner on election night. Mm-hmm. And then I dropped you off at your house. You were living with your mom.
She was living with me.
Okay.
However you want to look at it.
Okay. They were living together.
We were living together.
Yeah. I rescued Jess. She was a homeless person. But then we ended up texting half the night because we were watching the Trump election. And it was like, holy shit, he might actually win this.
Was that the night you invited me to go to the NFR like 3 days later?
Probably.
I was like, we just met.
Yeah, she was like, no. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we and then we dated for a while and got married. Mm-hmm. How much longer? Was it like a year and a half? A year? What?
Well, you kept wanting me to move in, and I didn't want to like rush into something because that had kind of been my MO with every relationship prior to. Yes. Remember the first thing you bought me?
No.
You don't remember?
Uh-uh.
The first gift you ever got me?
No.
Shelves for the closet.
Oh, well, that's easy. I needed shelves anyway.
You were like, I remember you were like, I bought you shelves for the closet so you can put your stuff in there. Oh. And it was both equally as like, what? As I was like touched. Like, that's so sweet. Like, you bought me shelves for our closet.
I'm a real romantic. I had a big empty house I'd just moved into.
Well, and I think it was the following weekend that I met the kids and we did the horse waterers down in the barn?
Yeah, it was probably something like that. Yeah, because we were putting in horse drinking waterers right before winter.
Yep, and we made concrete pads for them. Do you remember this?
Yep.
And the kids were like, "Oh, we're gonna put our hands in the concrete."
And the girls were throwing horse shit at each other.
Yep, but they went to do their hands, and the girls were like, "Oh, you gotta come put your hands in the concrete." And I remember looking at you like, "Okay, like we just met."
That feels a little permanent.
Yeah, like hands in the concrete, like
yeah.
But they're still there.
Yeah, they are still there. It's true. Yeah, so anyway, we got married, a year and a half or so later?
Well,
I don't remember.
We got engaged a year later.
Yeah.
We've made it very easy on ourselves. No, sorry. We started dating November 6th. We got engaged June 6th.
Okay.
In Canada.
Yeah.
And then
so 7 months.
We got courthouse married that November 6th, so a year later.
Oh.
From when we started dating.
Yeah, and we did that because we were thinking of getting married, and I called my accountant and said, would it be better tax-wise if we got married this year or waited until after the first of the year? And he was like, tax-wise, it'd be better if you got married this year. And I was like, okay.
Done.
So we just went to the courthouse. I was in my lineman. It was right after work. I was in my lineman work boots and dirty and pants and all that. You came down after school. We got married in front of a judge. Our folks came down.
Yep.
And then
your parents and Nana.
then we went to Costa Rica in February and got married for real.
Yeah.
But if you get married out of country, there's all this paperwork and all this BS. So we just did the ceremony.
Yeah.
In Costa Rica on the beach. Our friend Adam and Karen that you lived with.
Yep.
Adam sucks shit for a living.
Yep.
Our shit sucking friend. he married us.
Yep.
And we had my sister came and a few friends.
Yep.
That was a good time.
It was great.
So, what do you remember about the start of MKC?
Stop yawning on our podcast.
I yawn all day.
Do you yawn with other people on your podcast?
I have a terrible yawning habit, and I don't mean I'm very interested in this podcast. I'm not bored with you. We're not that old yet.
You're gonna pay later. What do I remember about what?
The start of MKC.
I just remember, when I met you, you were a single dad with 4 kids and like doing your very best, but like it's a lot of work, so I didn't have any kids. I'd always wanted kids. I didn't ever imagine that I would have 4. I'm not saying that as a complaint. It's just, you don't ever know kind of what you are going to have in life. And all your kids are amazing. I feel like I got so lucky in like when I came into their life because nobody needed me to tie their shoes or zip their coat. Like, they could all go get themselves in the truck and ready to go and be waiting for you and I. So
they were in fun stage for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So fun. And just so kind and wonderful. But you were doing your very best. You were not in your knife shop. And yet you clearly had this like insane talent. And so I just wanted to be able to help you tap back into that.
Mm-hmm.
And so by, being able to help you on the house end of things with kids, it just helped you get back in your shop. And so, once you got back into your shop doing your custom stuff a little bit here and there, then I just remember you telling me about this Montana Knife Company idea. And I don't know, I've just always believed in you from day one.
Yeah.
So when you said that, I was like, let's do it. Like, I don't know what that looks like, but let's do it. I don't know. It's always just kind of been this, like, I want to say blind trust, but like It also sounds kind of bad, but I don't know.
Well, and your dad had passed away right around that time period too.
Yeah.
And we inherited just a little bit of money, not a ton, but 15 or 20 grand, something like that. And I remember you were wanting a horse, but instead you let me use that money to buy steel and spend some money to like do some of the prototyping stuff for the MKC idea. Mm-hmm. And I remember it a couple years later, being really important to me that like I got to pay you back, and then you ended up buying your horse.
You say that like we weren't like, it's just our money.
No, I know, but that was truly your dad's. I mean, that wasn't my money. That was your money, you know, from your dad, from his little bit that he had. But yeah, that's really what the catalyst was. When did your dad pass away in 17? I think.
Honestly, I don't remember.
I think it was 17 because he wasn't alive when we got married in 18, right?
In February?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably right. Because
So,
he died in January.
right. But I don't think it was the month before we got married. I think it was the year before.
I don't remember.
No, it's
I
all right.
feel bad that I don't remember, but
But anyway, we he never really got a chance to see like what we did and whatnot. But I think he would think it's pretty cool that like, you know, that money we got from him, you know, from selling some of the stuff and whatnot, was really the seed money for MKC, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, yeah, and then I just remember there being so much support from you. Like there was just never a doubt. And then in 20, you know, you and I went to Winter Strong.
Sorry.
Crying. We don't have
It's okay.
napkins or whatever.
I secretly knew that this part was going to like happen. And I'm just always I'm so sad that my dad isn't here to see all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add on the fact that like it was because of him that like we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say it's thanks to me, like, but really like that money was because of him, you know? And if he hadn't have gone, we wouldn't have had it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything happens for a reason, but yeah, just wild. Sorry.
Yeah, because I
Anyways.
never would have put on a credit card or borrowed that money, but we didn't have
No.
the extra 20 grand to do
No.
it.
No, and I don't know, looking back, I don't know what else could have happened where we would have. I don't know how we would have done that.
Yeah. To a lot of people, $20,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but, you know, we were paycheck to paycheck, so,
Yeah, when
and had debt. So,
teaching and lineman jobs are good jobs, but yeah, putting away that kind of money is very difficult.
yeah. And so, yeah, so that was the seed money that got us going. You know, we'd gone out to Winter Strong, and I think we both came away from that feeling super inspired and motivated by the people that we hung out around. And it felt like we had even more confidence to like, we can do this.
Yeah.
I remember that very vividly, like both of us being like, God, that was amazing time.
Yeah,
You know.
it's still hard to put words to it, like what it was and what,
Especially two people like us that were outside of that whole space.
yeah, like honestly, we had no business being there,
Yeah.
but you know, obviously there was a reason we were, yeah.
Yeah. It was, so we came home from that pretty motivated, and then that's when COVID hit. But I think you and I, it was pretty easy for us to pretty much ignore COVID, especially after the first month and a half, once we realized, you know, that half of America wasn't going to die.
Yeah. It was easy to ignore, except that I was still a teacher.
Right.
And like fully immersed in all of the COVID-ness
Yeah.
that goes with that.
Shit. So yeah, we worked that summer, kind of getting more MKC stuff done. We went to Total Archery Challenge, and then you were trying to get me to quit my job in the fall. Fairly often you'd be like, you should chase this and do this, which is cool because most wives would be maybe more hesitant. Because our lineman job of our 2 jobs was for sure the better paying job.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
That's the one paying the bills for the most part.
Yeah.
So there's a big risk in not having that income.
Right. But you were working all day and then on the phone during the day while you were working.
Yeah.
And then you'd come home and go to your shop, which was great. But I just knew you couldn't sustain that.
Yeah. Yeah, so then we ended up, I quit my job in the last day of the year of 2020, and then we really didn't take any paycheck out of MKC for that first half of 21, which again, that's where your support, like with your teaching job, though it wasn't a bunch of money, it's what was able to kind of float us along.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of savings. We had, started selling some MKC knives, so recouping just a little what we'd spent. But then we were trying to figure out how to spend more to buy more stuff. And but then by the middle of 21, MKC was really paying for itself at that point. Like the knives we were selling were paying for the next knives. And that's where people, for the next year and a half got frustrated that we didn't make more knives. But it was literally like, that's all the knives we could afford to make.
Right.
Then summer of 21 came around, and we all saw COVID coming to an end. And then a couple weeks before school, you get the announcement that you're going to be required to wear a mask again going into the fall of 21.
Yeah.
Which at that point, we were all fully over COVID and the mask shit.
Yeah.
And I remember you came home and you were like, I'm quitting. Either you hire me or I'm going to get another job.
Yeah. Well, I was teaching 7th grade too at the time, and it had definitely been a hard transition.
Yeah.
Like I liked the job, but the kids were so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was about to be my 4th year. And it was just like.
And the principal was a real douchebag. I hope he hears that.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that.
Tais a douchebag.
Stop. You can't say that.
Yeah, I just did.
Oh man. Anywho.
Hope you never need that job back.
I hope I don't either. Don't fire me.
He was a real jackass.
No, I just had heard that they were going to like make us wear masks again for like the first 6 weeks, which everybody knows that's a total crock.
Yeah.
And yeah, I came home to you and I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I said, I won't do it. Like, it's just so, because not only is it not okay to teach 7th graders when you can't see their face and they can't see yours, but it was also a total crock of shit. Yeah. All of that COVID stuff. So like to then have to just continue the facade of the lie was just so absurd to me, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so I told you that I said, either you have to hire me or I'm going to get another job.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a real interesting spot we were in because we were really starting to grow through that summer, but still have this in the back of your mind of like, man, is this just a flash in the pan? Is it going to keep growing?
And we only had Tristan and Sadie at the time in the shop. And I think Tristan he had been part-time, but then he had just graduated.
He was full-time.
Yeah.
He was full-time.
Sadie was going to school.
Right.
At the university.
Yeah, it was just real debatable on like,
could you use me?
Yeah, and could we keep you busy? And
also,
like, if we pay you that money, then that's less money to apply towards steel and whatever. And but so we did. We hired you, and then, man, it only took a couple months, and we just kept getting busier. And you were in charge of customer service,
everything,
and fulfillment,
everything.
Yeah,
I was also like the supply chain manager.
Yeah, helping order a lot of supply stuff.
Like doing things that I had never done in my entire life.
Yeah. Yeah.
and trying to get you organized. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of organizing.
It was wild.
There was a lot. Yeah. So, then it was like, well, by Thanksgiving, it was like, oh my God, I can't, like, had we not hired you, I don't know what we'd have done.
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer. And then from there, it just built to the point where then we decided during 2022, we needed to build a shop.
Yep.
And that's another piece. Like we started hiring more and more people. They're reporting to work at our house. You were fulfilling all of the merch and apparel orders out of our basement.
Yep.
We had lost entirely, basically one of the downstairs bedrooms.
Yep.
Then it spread out into we kind of call our gym area. It's like downstairs living room. We had racks down there along the walls.
Yep.
When we would do a drop, you would lay all the labels and all the stuff out on the floor, on the bed. Employees would go downstairs and help you sometimes down there.
Yeah, I remember Melissa helping me.
Yep.
And then we'd fill them in those mail bags and carry them back up the stairs.
Yep, exactly. We'd walk out to the shop and get whatever knives had to go with merch and carry them to the basement and put them in bags with hats and shirts and stuff.
I remember the first shirts we ever got to sell were all just like laid on top of each other, like stacked.
Right, they weren't bagged.
So I had to like take them apart and fold them all.
Fold them. Yeah. Yeah, what a pain in the ass. Yeah, and then we hired Andrew and then you started kind of printing some labels out in the shop and doing a little of that. But then we built our new building that we're sitting in right now in our horse pasture. And moved into this, and that's where we were able to kind of expand more of our apparel stuff, and you moved all your operations out here. And so today, you now manage customer service and fulfillment, but you also have a couple people, really one main person in each of those areas and then you guys pull a little extra help when you need it for like shipping. So, so what are your duties today?
Today?
I mean, like now in the company time period we're in.
Like you just said, I manage customer service and fulfillment. So I don't answer a lot of the emails that come in on the daily. Tori does that. But I assist if, we dialogue about a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And then I oversee all of our fulfillment. So, Cody handles the actual physical side of that where I used to do that. But now he basically packs and ships everything on the daily. And then if we have need of additional help, we'll pull somebody from downstairs, or I'll help if I have time. But then I have also slowly been basically doing more of the ordering and stocking of all of our fulfillment room. Apparel, accessories, all of our wood products, just dealing with all of our vendors that supply all of that stuff and getting everything ordered. And, we're trying to really nail down all of the, the bookkeeping side of everything.
And the back end.
Yeah, the back end of everything with inventory and really dialing all of that in and being, as professional as possible. And so, I've been helping do a lot of that, which is fun. Mm-hmm. Sending invoices and purchase orders.
Yeah. And then, the couple kids are now grown and gone. We have a couple kids left at home, but we're kind of more of like cheerleaders at this point. Doesn't require tons of our time.
No.
You're the one that keeps them fed. And that's the one thing, like, how much I appreciate like you cooking dinners and the way you organize their lives and making sure they have lunches and breakfast and all of that stuff in addition to what we're doing. Just an amazing role model in that way. And then like the physical fitness part, I mean, you work out in the basement and have just always kind of led by example with all that, which I think has been impactful to our kids too. So it's cool. What do you think about like the new building project and just like where we're headed?
it's wild. I don't know. It's all like so crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I'm still wrapping my head around this building and everything that we're doing. I was just standing downstairs in the kitchen looking at the employee photo board. Like all the people that work for us. Like, I don't understand. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
What other things are you, what do you like to do now? What are the things you're into now?
Well, I like to do anything with you. I know that sounds lame, but it's true. I really enjoy riding my horses with you, if I can get you to do it with me. I started team sorting again last winter and really enjoy that. Feels like it brings me back to my dad a little bit, you know. That's about it.
Yeah. And your mom works for us, which
Getting
is
old.
cool.
My mom works for us. It's really cool because I've always wanted my mother to live close. You know, she was in Kalispell for a long time. And then, you know, I came to Missoula to go to school and basically just stayed here. And she was still in Kalispell. And then she moved to Wisconsin for not even a year. Ended up not loving it. And so moved to Missoula, but lived in town. And just a couple years ago now, she lives out here by us and now works for us. And I get to see her almost every day, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like working with her?
I do.
She's not too much of a pain in your ass.
No, she's great.
She is great.
She's
I just don't
great.
like to admit it in front of her.
I know. You two have a very special relationship.
She's great. I have a good mother-in-law,
You do.
but
She loves what we're doing.
I try to be as mean to her as I can in public.
She's very proud of us.
No, she's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool having her close.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything else you want to add?
I don't know, but we should keep going. This is like the most time we've ever had to talk without being interrupted.
Yeah.
With no phones.
Yeah.
This is great. Next time we should do this in the hot tub.
That would be inappropriate. Definitely not on video.
What do you think about the new building?
At the moment, it just stresses me out. Are we going to pay for it? Are we going to get that hole filled? Are we going to get the engineering for our steel? When are we going to start it? But no, it's all good stresses. It's a dream come true for sure. So it's amazing to think of just how fast it's gone to get to here. So yeah, it's cool. But
yeah, I feel very lucky because I don't stress about any of that. I stress about customer emails and getting everything shipped in the day.
Yeah.
More like in the moment kind of stuff, but
yeah. Yeah, but by taking care of that stuff, with me knowing that's taken care of, I can actually worry about the future stuff, which is good.
Yeah, I just feel very, very blessed in being able to have been a part of all of this. You know, it's your vision and your dream. But it's been just so great to like help you make it happen and to be a small part of it.
Well, you're a pretty big part of it.
Well, it's funny because I think a lot about like, you know, I have a degree in teaching. I even have a master's degree. But I don't use any of that now.
Yeah.
And it's just such a testament to like where life will take you. You know, I know you talk about that a lot. Like neither one of us are doing, we're both in our 40s and not doing anything we ever thought we'd be doing. Maybe you thought you'd be here, but I certainly never did.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool adventure. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah. Well, life's a pretty cool adventure for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Feel pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
For sure. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for helping us get here.
Mm-hmm.
So now we need to have a podcast in the new building when it's done.
Yeah.
That'll feel pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
Can't
all right,
wait.
baby.
I love you.
Love you. Follow Jessie Smith Knife Wife on Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Bye.